Welcome back to With the First Pick, our first round post-draft coverage here, presented by Jeep. There's only one. Looking at the top 10 picks from Thursday night's action. No surprise there, Fernando Mendoza. And then the surprises started fast and furious. Jeremiyah Love at 3, Carnell Tate at 4. You can't see it on that graphic there, Pete Prisco, but at 13, a young man by the name of Ty Simpson made his way to the LA Rams. There were reports, I think, that the Rams were trying to perhaps move down and take Ty Simpson a little bit later. They took him at 13. And if you were still grading picks, would that be an F?
I don't know if it would be an F, but it would be a D minus.
Okay.
I don't want to give any.
Is that 65? Like you just barely passed.
Yeah, barely passed. Everybody claps for you because you just made it, but you really didn't make it. I didn't like that at all. And I mean, look, I'll be real about it. I think when you look at the way the Rams are constructed right now, and you have a quarterback who's probably in the last year, a guy who's done a lot for your organization, including winning a Super Bowl, I think it was in your best interest and their best interest to go get somebody that can help them right now. And this guy doesn't help them right now.
I don't think anyone would disagree with that. And we've talked about weighing the pros and cons, going to that system. So RotoSurgeon put this out on Twitter, and I say that. I want to get your thoughts, Ram, because you've worked with Les Snead, Sean McVay. You've been in the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan building as well. So here's what Les has done in recent years. They drafted Gerald Everett at 44. They traded up for running back Darrell Henderson. They drafted Cam Akers after the very next season. Tutu Atwell over Creed Humphrey. And the list goes on and on. But my point is, are we cherry picking because this team has won Super Bowls with the front office and the coaching staff? Or is this a situation where we're fine because we know that Ty Simpson is going to potentially the best landing spot for Ty Simpson?
I mean, I appreciate whoever put that out. You know, I mean, it is what it is. Those are the facts of it. But it's easy in hindsight to go back and cherry pick and say, oh, well, this pick didn't work out, or you should have took this one over that one, because it's easy to say you should have took Creed Humphrey. I don't even remember at that point what the construction of their offensive line was and if they even needed that position. So to me, that doesn't even matter. Where I give the Rams the credit, and B-Mac hit on this earlier, is they've hit on key positions later in the draft that has allowed them to build their roster, because all their earlier picks, they traded for proven commodities, so they had to hit. And not only that, you traded for proven commodities, you had to pay those people, so which meant that the rest of your team had to be filled out with younger draft picks, and they've been able to maximize that. Again, I hear both sides of the argument in terms of getting Matthew Stafford on his way out, some weapons that you're going to need. But I think it was them hedging their bet, understanding that we have a good football team as it's currently constructed, and we may not be in position next year to go up and get a quarterback that like the guy we have this year that we know we like. And because, again, we're going to talk about it ad nauseum, probably starting on Saturday with the way too early stuff that we all do. But well, you. Speaking French.
The royal we. That's right.
I'm from Canada. I'm from Canada. I'm speaking French. But the point I want to make is this. When it comes down to it, you can't hedge your bet on all those guys that are coming out next year at the quarterback position.
That's right.
Right. We know it's going to be a lot. We said it was going to be a lot this year.
Yeah,
we saw what that was. And just even some of the lists that I've seen, I don't know of the guys that I've seen so far, because I haven't seen everybody, that I would love all those guys as first-round picks. It's probably still going to be a smaller amount.
No, but there's probably 12 of them that are right now potential.
Pete, you keep saying that, but let me ask you this.
Okay, where was Simpson last year?
But let me ask you this. If there's even 5, Ty Simpson is not as good as the 5 that you may materialize?
No,
okay.
he's not.
I think that's wrong, but that's
okay, 2 off the bat, you could say, right?
Who?
Manning and Dante Moore.
You said you weren't crazy about Dante Moore.
He's better than Ty Simpson, and there's going to be guys that emerge. Where was Ty Simpson a year ago?
He was backing up Jalen Milroe.
Okay, so somebody's going to emerge like that, at least.
Every year, to Pete's point, every year that's the case, right? We understand that.
But also you said earlier.
But also to Rand's point, Ryan, real quick, if you're the Rams, you visualize having a really, really good year once again.
Right.
Right? Every year they're a playoff caliber team, right? And we know that. Every year they have Super Bowl aspirations. So what happens if they win a Super Bowl? What happens if they lose in the Super Bowl?
What picks do they have next year?
right?
Well, how many picks do they have next
I
year?
think they have 6. I'll double check. But
Okay, if they have 6 picks, if you want to go get one of the quarterbacks, you could go get one if you like them.
But
guess what? You still can't fill out the rest of your roster because you're going to have to give up everything to go up and get it, and you still can't. You still can't get a weapon.
Especially if you're picking in the 30s or the late 20s.
Okay, but is 13 this year better than 28 next
Yes.
year?
Yeah.
It is?
Yes.
You know that?
Because it's higher.
Does that mean he's a better player?
But all I'm saying,
what if there's 6 quarterbacks that are going to be first-round picks next year?
The what ifs. We're talking about the what ifs. We don't know. We know right now what the board said.
They just drafted a what if.
When was the last time the Rams had a pick in the teens? Right?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time because they've been good. So if you're Les Snead, if you're Sean McVay, who I trust Sean McVay's football eye. Right?
I do too.
So if he says, you know what, Matthew Stafford, as long as you understand what we're doing, right? The transparency is there. We're going to take this guy. You're our guy for this season. We all believe you're going to walk away after this year, regardless of what happens. We're going to groom this guy, right? So now next year, regardless of what happens in 2026, you're in a better position because you have your quarterback already in waiting, right?
Let me ask this.
Brian, real quick. Remember with Joe Flacco, right? Yeah. He was still he had good years left. But what did Baltimore do? At 32, they took Lamar Jackson. Right. Remember, Hayden Hurst was the first pick because they had 2 first-round picks that year. They took Lamar Jackson. Everybody said, what are you doing? Right? And it played in their favor. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
you see Lamar Jackson and Ty Simpson?
No. I'm talking about the position.
I get the position. I understand the importance of the position. Believe me, there's 2 things you have to have in this league, or 3 things. Good offensive line, good defensive line, but first and foremost is quarterback. So I get the importance of the position. I just think, I don't think Ty Simpson's worth the 13th pick. That's me. Mm-hmm. I also don't think that there's going to be a year next year where you look in that draft class and you go, hey, maybe Ty Simpson wasn't. These guys aren't better than Ty Simpson. I think you're going to 6 or 7 of them are going to be better than Ty Simpson.
I think we.
Why are you rolling your eyes? You automatically know that.
I was about to agree with you. I was about to say. I think we all agree were the words that are about to leave my mouth. That Ty Simpson at 13, no one had that on the bingo card. I think Pete is right. But B-Mac's point earlier when we talked about this is that it's okay to plan a year ahead with this player because you're starting from ground zero next year if you draft that quarterback at 29 or 30 or whatever. I think that's the only difference.
The point I want to bring across, and I was already in scouting, but I was at the Rams, ironically enough, that we're talking about it. So we weren't in the market for a quarterback the year that Patrick Mahomes came out, right? Because the Chiefs traded up to 10. I believe it was 10 to take him, and they had already traded a second-round pick to get Alex Smith. So I'm posing a question to Pete because I didn't watch Patrick Mahomes coming out. Did you think Patrick Mahomes, forget what we know now, did you think he was worth the 10 pick?
You could go back and look it up, and I was a big Mahomes guy.
He's been talking about that.
I was one of the few guys that would actually on Patrick Mahomes. Look it up. I'll bet you anything you want to.
You didn't answer the question.
Yes.
Because and I was going to say because we forget.
Did I think he was this good? No. Did I think he was going to be really good?
But no. Did you think he was worth the Chiefs trading up to pick at the time?
I did.
All right. So let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back here. We're going to continue the conversation. We know Pete does not love running backs. So when we come back, we're going to talk running backs, especially one going 3, another one going 32. And we'll do that right after this.
No more talking about Stetson Simpson?
With the first pick presented by Jeep. There's only one. Welcome back to With the First Pick presented by Jeep. There's only one. And Pete Prisco, there was only one.
Pete Prisco.
Pete Prisco.
Thank God.
Thank God.
The world can thank God on that one, believe me.
If you say one prayer tonight, be thankful that there's only one Pete Prisco.
Yeah, amen.
You know what there are 2 of, though, in the first round, Mr. Rand?
Running back.
Running backs. So I'll ask you, because I know Pete has some thoughts on the issue, as our resident running back at 3, no surprise because we've been talking about it for days here. Jeremiyah Love goes to the Arizona Cardinals. Probably not the best need fill for Arizona. Has nothing to do with Jeremiah. And then at 32, 29 picks later, I think my math is there, Jadarian Price, his teammate, goes to the Seattle Seahawks. Who got the best value? And are you okay with a running back going as high as 3, which was 3 picks higher than Ashton Jeanty went last year to the Raiders?
Yeah, I would. A short answer, yes, because I think Jeremiyah Love is a better running back than Ashton Jeanty was coming out, and I think he's going to be a better player. But you talk about value, right? You talk about overall value. the better overall value is going to be the running back at 32. Why? Because you're going to the best team in the league that just won the Super Bowl. So it's a more established team. And just like Ashton Genty when he went sixth overall, went to a team that had a bad offensive line, didn't have any playmakers around him, so teams were able to focus on him and shut him down. Whereas you put Jadarian Price in Seattle's offense, now you have a quarterback, you have a number one wide receiver that just got paid, you have other players around where he won't be the focal point. So I think from a value standpoint, I think the running back at 32 was a better value than 3, just because of how the whole team is constructed.
I agree. Everything Rand laid out, I perfectly agree with him in terms of what Jeremiyah Love is going to face, play in and play out. Let's just highlight the division, the defense he's going to see in the NFC West. You're going to see Seattle's defense twice a year, right? We know how tough they've been, especially the way Mike McDonald has a hold on that personnel. You're going to see the Los Angeles Rams defense, Jerry Verse and the crew, twice a year. San Francisco, right? And we all assume they will have a clean bill of health, healthier than what they were not this past season, which will make things a lot difficult for Jeremiyah Love. And oh, by the way, the quarterback situation is still open for Arizona. So yes, you talked about the structure, the stability. Jadarian Price is going into a situation where they are the Super Bowl champions, right? The offensive line, I love the continuity they have. You can say whatever you want to say about Sam Darnold, but he understands and knows how to work whatever offense they will have.
You know what Sam Darnold is? Super Bowl champ.
And Super Bowl champ. And you got JSN, right? You got a proven commodity at most teams. When they face off against you, they got to worry about where Levin is. So Jeremiyah Love is a great player, but he's going into a very, very difficult situation in terms of what he will face.
Let me set you up, Pete. This is going to, if you miss this layup, you're cut from the team. Who's going to be more productive next year, Jadarian Price or Jeremiyah Love?
Jadarian Price. And by the way, you know how I felt about Jadarian Price.
You've talked him up
as
for a while.
it relates to.
You said it wasn't that big
I didn't
of a
think it was
gap.
that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Look, one has home run speed. Don't get me wrong. There are only a few guys that can do what he can do when he hits the hole and he's gone.
Jeremiah.
And Price can't do that. But Price can make people miss. He's tough. He can get outside. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. People, he only had 18 catches, but he can do it. They didn't throw it to him a lot.
He had 2 kick returns, so he can do a little bit too.
37 yards per kickoff return. That tells you he can go a little bit. So I think when he gets in Seattle, he's going to put up some really good numbers. He's going to be a guy that's perfect for what they want to do. And they want to run the ball. That's the basis of that entire offense.
Honestly, if you look at Price, his style of play, it reminds me a lot of Kenneth Walker, but he catches the football out of the backfield. Better than Kenneth Walker.
I think he's going to be better
and
than
he
Kenneth.
ran 4-4 at Indy. So he has the home run speed. We just didn't see it.
This is lesson number 1 for everybody out there. John Schneider, I'm going to give you big props, buddy. You had a running back who won the Super Bowl. Oh, my God, he's a free agent. You got to bring the Super Bowl MVP back. No, you don't. Off he goes. What do? You reach back behind you grab one, you draft him, and there he is. And you know what? He'll be better. He'll be better.
It pains me to once again agree with Pete, but if Jadarian's going to be more productive in year 1, he's going to a better system. We all agree on that. Were there better options at 3 than Jeremiyah Love for a Cardinals team that has what feels like rosters full of need?
In my opinion, no. In terms of, yes, let me back up. Yes, just because of they need so much. Yeah. But the unfortunate part for Jeremiyah Love and who he is from an ability standpoint, who he is as a young man, and the excitement that he brings, this was bigger than a football player move at number 3, right? Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, this organization needs to sell tickets. They need to put butts in the seats. They need to give this fan base something.
As a GM, you can't draft that way. You know that.
But again, every one of these picks don't fall on just the GM.
Right.
There's somebody, you look in most of these draft rooms when everybody's and high-fiving and bro-hugging and there's a person that signs everybody's check.
Right.
That's sitting there.
And what do you say
that has to be on board.
What do you say about the owners?
They don't fire themselves. Okay. So there's that person that's sitting there and has to be on board with every one of these picks. Again, I don't know. I know what was being reported. Yeah. That's none of my business. But what I'll say is, if you're the Arizona Cardinals and the fate that you have suffered over these it's been a while, right? You need to give that fan base something to be excited about. You need to sell jerseys. You need to give them a reason to want to get up off their couch on Sundays to come fill that stadium.
Well, I'll say this. They will be exciting in September. But October, November, December, I don't know if they will have too much excitement going
They don't have
on.
a quarterback. That's first and
Yeah,
foremost the problem. But
Listen, you sell the tickets early.
Yeah, that is right.
You sell the tickets early.
What fan is going to go? If you're an Arizona
This is
Cardinal
a
fan,
great point.
why are you going to go buy tickets to watch Jeremiyah Love play when the team stinks?
Let me even follow up on that. So, Rand, what if they had traded up in a reasonable world to 29 and taken Ty Simpson in that offense that you keep talking about? Wouldn't that create a better likelihood to win football games?
I would say yes, because again, they don't have the answer at quarterback, right? They don't. That person is not on their football team. And no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett, I love who he is as a human, love him as a leader, love what he has brought to every locker room that he's been in. However, we know Jacoby Brissett. We know what Jacoby Brissett is. That person that's going to lead them to the next level, it's not in that locker room. We give the Jets so much BS about getting Geno Smith and trading for him, but the stuff that they did today and what they've done in free agency is continue to build around them to at least give them a fighting chance to win some games this season, whereas I don't see that in Arizona right now.
Here's the other part of this Love-Price situation. One is now, I think, the 6th highest paid running back in the National Football League, and the other one's a lot cheaper.
But Rand's pointed out that the salary cap, at the end of the day,
It matters. When you're paying a
little bit.
running back that much money when you walk in the door, that's a lot of money for that position. And the whole idea that he's going to split out wide and do this and that, no, he's not. He's going to be a running back.
And Pete, this is where I push back on you, because to me, and we see the numbers here on the screen, the guaranteed money, to me, this is a flawed argument, right? Because you look at Jeremiyah Love and Ashton Genty both on rookie deals, right? So no matter who would have been taken at 3 or who would have was taken at 6, that's the same amount of money, regardless of the position, because that pick is slotted.
Yeah.
It just so happened that both of these
But
guys are
if
running
you're
backs.
if you're getting a defensive end in that spot, he's not. The value is much greater as relative to the
but
rest
again,
of the contract.
to me,
all right,
it's,
look, I get it. We got plenty of time to talk about this. I want to get to the most important thing here. B-Mac, I'll ask you. Let me check here. Oh, Carnell Tate went 4th. Is that higher or lower than when Jeremiah Smith will go next year in the 2026 draft?
I think Jeremiah Smith will go lower. I think he goes.
Well,
before.
Pete said there are 8 quarterbacks, so he's at least going to go 9.
I think, and I know we're projecting, but in terms of what he's done and what he will do this season, along with having a really good quarterback to throw him the football and Julian saying, yeah, anywhere between 1 to 3.
So I want to mention that because you guys give me a hard time about Carnell.
But that's not the argument either, by the way.
I know, I
the
was
argument
making a
was you
joke.
said-
Let me-
Okay.
Yeah,
You
just-
said that he was better.
It's okay for you to be wrong
Okay.
every once in a while. You had a big night tonight.
There's not one person up here that agrees that you were right about that
Well,
one.
you know who does agree with me? The Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward.
No, they
So
don't.
is Cam Ward better off today than he was 24 hours ago? And let me ask you this, because last year they drafted Malachi Minor out of Stanford. He's not a burner. Tamiri DK is a burner, but he's unrefined as a route runner. Gunnar Helm. Carnell Tate doesn't give you the juice. Would they have been better served taking Jordan Tyson, or do you think this is going to work with Carnell Tate?
I think it all depends on what the value they have for each guy. And maybe the medical concerns played a part in Jordan Tyson not being the pick for them at 4. But I'm okay with them adding some type of weaponry to their offense, because I view them potentially going Jeremiyah Love if he was available at 4. You need to improve the offense. And I understand Carnell Tate might not have the juice like some of the other wide receivers in this draft may have, but he is a baller. He knows how to play football. Now, how will they utilize him in the offense? Do you have him more of an outside guy, maybe an inside
Well, that's all
guy?
he does.
You know what I mean?
He only played outside.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Do you have a game plan for him? Because some of the names you mentioned, they still have Calvin Ridley as well.
Well,
Calvin Ridley
but also off of that, Wan'Dale Robinson was signed this offseason,
Right,
so
yeah.
he'll be in the slot.
Yeah,
Right.
and they
He'll be
gave
in the
him a lot of
slot.
money.
It'll be Carnell Tate, and then it'll
Ridley.
be some form of Ridley and Ayu Minor on the outside. But to something that Pete and we talk about this every Sunday. We talk about guys not having that vertical threat in their offenses, not being able to push the ball down the field. And this is more than just a Tennessee Titans problem for me. I just want to know how you're going to stretch the field. And you look at the teams that are in this division, you see the moves that the Colts made to shore up their secondary, going to get Sauce Gardner. We know what the secondary is in Houston. Jacksonville is building that complete defense. Where is the threat to push, to stretch the field vertically, to open up those seams short to intermediate?
Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel in terms of what the 40 time says, right? So I think for Tennessee, they feel like he plays faster than what he ran there at
It was a
Indy.
strange pick. It was a strange pick.
But I can't knock them for trying to
Thank you.
improve the offense to help the young quarterback out in year 2. And clearly Brian Daboll had something to do with this pick as well.
I would have taken Styles in that spot. hands down.
Well, we'll find out shortly. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, though. When we come back, we're going to talk about the two New York teams and what they did. The Jets had ended up with 3 picks in the first round. They're going to have 3 more next year. The Giants had their 2 picks, and we'll talk about what happened in New York right after this with First Pick presented by Jeep. There is only one. Welcome back to With the First Pick, our first round post-draft coverage brought to you by Jeep. There is only one. Can't say it enough. There's only one Pete Prisco. And again, we are all thankful for that. There are 2 teams in New York, Pete, the Giants and the Jets.
There's actually one, and it's in Buffalo.
Yeah.
The other 2 are in New Jersey.
No one likes
Technicalities.
and that's why Pete has no friends. All right, so B-Mac, I'm going to come to you first if Pete's going to be that way about it. So the Jets traded back in. Here's how crazy the Jets pick was. We all agreed that it was going to be David Bailey. Pete's a huge David Bailey guy, even if maybe some people thought it was going to be Arbel Reese at 2. At 16, they take Kenyon Sadiq, and we're like, okay, this doesn't make sense. They drafted Jason Taylor's son, Mason, last year at LSU in round 2.
Yep, round 2.
And who's the other? They have another?
Jeremy
Ruckert
from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Then they traded back in to the bottom of the first round at pick 30, and we were thinking, oh, sweet Lord, don't let him take Carson Beck this high. BMAC wanted that, so the Steelers couldn't take him tomorrow. But they took Omar Cooper Jr., and before we get to the Giants, that makes this draft for me, worst case, A-.
A+ for me.
Okay.
Now, honestly, guys.
Oh, you going Jets A+?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because when you look at what they did, now, the second first-round selection with Kenyon Sadiq, I felt some type of way about it in terms of what I feel like was a bigger need, right? Wide receiver outside of Garrett Wilson. I know A.D. Mitchell, you got him in the trade with Sauce, but he had the case of the drops. And outside of A.D., you're trying to figure out who the third option is at the wide receiver position. And you take a athletic tight end, but a tight end we all agree doesn't really play 4-4 fast, 4-4 speed in terms of game action. So you do get that tight end. But they had a game plan in play that we didn't know about, we were not aware of. So you trade back in the first, and you go get Omar Cooper, who was oddly enough, surprisingly, still available. So you talk about getting the best pure pass rusher in the draft in David Bailey, getting the most athletic tight end in the draft in Kenyon Sadiq, and then getting a proven, mature wide receiver in Omar Cooper. Slam dunk for the Jets. Slam dunk, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I like the draft, and I see it the exact same way. The Kenyon Sadiq, when it was announced, we were in the room, everybody was like, oh. You know, because we thought that they were going to go receiver there. Makai Lemon was available to him. Omar Cooper was available to them as well. But then to jump back in from 33, which wasn't a big jump, you didn't really have to give up a whole bunch. But then when I'm looking at this from a holistic standpoint, right, you look at it more macro than micro, that's 3 first-round picks this year. You got 3 more next year. Like, they are really building something. And I know there's Jet fans are out there like, we've been here before. But they should really be excited about where this is going. You can see the direction of where this is going. So I like what they've done in this first day. Really excited to see how you maneuver the board, because to me, when you get on day 2, and particularly day 3, the earlier part of day 3, now you start to understand which teams understand the board, which teams know how to maneuver, and which team, because they'll get to a point where somebody's board is wiped out and you'll just start seeing them trade back and stockpiling for next year. But I think the Jets, the way they've showed the board way they played the board this year, they knew what they were doing and they had a plan.
Yeah.
Shh, don't let anybody hear this, because I don't want our buddy Rick Spielman to hear this, but they did a hell of a job.
Well, let me ask you, I want to ask you this, Pete. So, David Bailey, Kenyon Sadiq, Omar Cooper Jr. to the Jets, or did the Giants have a better draft with Arbel Reese and Francis Malinois at 5 and 10?
I think the Jets had a better draft.
Okay.
I mean, you get an extra pick, so it helps when you start evaluating them. If they had not come back in and got Cooper, I would have had the same reservations you had about Sadiq. I didn't love Sadiq. But you know what's going around this league right now? Everybody wants to play 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
They copy the Rams. The Rams did it. Now everybody wants to do it. So now they're going to do it more in New York. You know, you talked about this team and where they're going. They should be excited. They got pieces. But what they don't have is coming next year, and that's a quarterback.
But
everything is in place. Everything is getting in place. Their offensive line, good young offensive line. Everything is coming in place for when they do get that quarterback.
Garrett Wilson's a huge winner. And B-Mac, can we yet call him Eugene Cyril Smith III after today?
I think it's about time that we can start doing that. I think he should be excited as well. You know, when you look at the Jets roster, I mean, Breece Hall, they got him back. You know, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq. You look at what they did on the offensive line a year ago in terms of Mimbo. And then you look at defensively, Sweat. You got Will McDonald who can rush the passer. I mean, you got DeMario Davis.
They added pieces.
Cisco, Micah Fitzpatrick. Yeah. I mean, they made some move throughout free agency and then currently tonight, which drastically improves their roster now.
Yeah, if I was Geno, I wouldn't get too comfortable in that spot, no matter how well.
No, but he's a short-term solution. But let's talk about I don't want to give the Giants short shrift because I thought they had a great draft. I know Giants fans don't think it's sexy to take CeCe Malinois because of the TSD from taking the offensive lineman. He's a day one starter, and Arvell Reese, we'll see how he works.
Look, Arvell Reese is going to be a good football player. It's just he's going to play off the ball linebacker. That's what he's going to play for the Giants. He's not going to rush the passer, but you can do a lot of different things with him. We've talked about that. He's going to be creative in how they use him, and I think that'll help their defense become even better. Still got a glaring hole at defensive tackle, but as far as the tackle from Miami, he's going to play guard. He's going to play right guard. I said all along I thought he would be a right guard. You mentioned earlier Ogden played guard when he first came into the league because Tony Jones was a left tackle at Baltimore. We've seen a lot of guys shift inside from tackles, become great guards. I think he can become a dominant guard, but I think the plan for him is to play him at guard for a couple of years. When the right tackle, Illuminor, goes away, then he becomes the right tackle. But I think the draft is solid. I am concerned about the back a little bit. That's always
Listen,
concerning.
I'll say this. I was really considering making the Giants like my winner of the day.
Yeah.
To be able to walk out of there with Arvell Reese, who we knew would be a top 5 pick, and it was arguable that CeCe Malinois would be a top 5 pick. And you were there at 5 and 10, and you got 2 potential top 5 picks. I know in my personal little pick 6 that I did for CBS the other day, I had both players in my top 6 picks in terms of Arvell Reese or just talent, right? And so for them to walk away, if the Jets had not traded back in with Omar Cooper Jr., I think the Giants' first 2 picks were significantly better than the Jets too. But again, we're looking at this thing from a macro perspective. I love where the Jets are headed, but I love where the Giants are headed. We talk about Arvell Reese and playing off the ball. I trust Denard Wilson and Frank Bush to be able to get Arvell Reese right. Frank Bush has been around this league, and Frank Bush is the Giants' linebacker coach. He has been around this league a lot of years. He has developed a ton of linebackers. I was with him in St. Louis when we traded for Mark Barron from Tampa, and we moved Mark Barron from safety down to linebacker. And Frank created a package for him to get him in the best position that was comfortable for him early until he learned the nuances of playing linebacker. And at that point, Mark never looked back. We had a package for him early, and then the next year, Mark was our starting Will Backer and played Will Backer at a really decent level for the rest of his career. But it was the development of Frank Bush.
My only criticism of the Giants, and it's nitpicking based on my preference, I probably would have taken Sonny Styles rather than Arvell Reese in that spot if you're going to play him off the ball, because I think he's going to be a better off the ball.
But I'll say to that point, and this is just me having experience with this defense and what this defense looks for, and I don't disagree with you, because I always thought if the Titans passed on Sonny Styles at 4, then now you have Sonny Styles and Tremaine Edmonds in the middle of your defense. That shrinks the window of you throwing the ball over the middle of the field, because you got 2 6'5" guys with length
Can run.
and that can run, and that shrinks that distance between the linebacker, the second level, and that post safety. That really shrinks the throwing level. You talk about layering balls. Can you imagine trying to layer a ball over a 6'5" linebacker? Like, it takes a special arm talent to be able to do that.
But thumping, the 2 of them probably aren't as good thumping in the run game as maybe.
But the point I was going to make with Arvell Reese playing in this defense is it now gives you the versatility to be able to create that 5-down look and get those guys going with those one-on-ones with those offensive lines.
All right, let's. You got to wait. Y'all, we're on television, and you just can't be talking like you at the barbershop. So let's take a deep breath.
Hey, man, we got a lot to talk about. We got some good stuff, man.
So we're going to keep the conversation going to the NFC East. When we come back, we're going to go to Philadelphia, who just did B-Mac's Pittsburgh Steelers wrong. And we'll talk Dallas Cowboys as well. We'll do that right after this break. Presented by Jeep. There's only one with the first pick. Post-first round draft coverage. Welcome back to With the First Pick. First round is in the books, 2026 NFL Draft. and we are covering it. Presented by Jeep, there's only one. All right, Bryant McFadden.
Yes, sir.
At pick 20, the Philadelphia Eagles traded up. And I'm laughing because they traded up, and I want to talk about a couple things here. While the Steelers were on the phone with the player they ended up taking, the Steelers were at 21. Makai Lemon was on the phone in Pittsburgh. He ultimately said that he was where he was meant to be when Haya Roseman took him at pick 20. So as a Steelers, two-time Super Bowl champ, Steelers fan, how do you feel? And also, what does this mean for A.J. Brown?
Well, for me, as a Steeler fan and being a former Steeler, it feels like I got punched in the stomach. Honestly, unexpectedly. I wasn't prepared to hit this to be punched in the stomach because clearly the Steelers were willing and was ready to select Makai Lemon, a guy who I really love in terms of what he does at the offensive side of the ball. And I think the Steelers never thought that Philly would do business with a divisional foe or vice versa, with the Cowboys doing business with the Philadelphia Eagles. But voila, it happened. And this is what Philly has done because according to our very own GM here, Howie did the same switcheroo on you, right? Pull the rug underneath you and moving up because he felt like there was a guy you was going to get, so you don't get him. Guess what he does? Trades up in front of you.
Jalen Carter, right?
Jalen Carter,
yeah.
right? So I respect Howie for understanding and working the room. And for me, it's like, ordering a meal from your favorite restaurant, and your mind is fixated on getting this meal because they have it every Tuesday, like a Tuesday special, right? And they have it.
Oxtails.
Whatever it is.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesdays. And you know what? I'm going to get oxtails. I'm going to get some tacos on Taco Tuesday, whatever the case may be. And when you get there, they tell you, oh, we just ran out. What? No, that's how I feel right now being with the Pittsburgh Steelers because you had your guy and you was on the phone and he thought he was going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers and then instantly Howie traded up in front of the Steelers to go get Makai Lemon, who I think is going to be a fantastic player because I love what he did at USC. So great job by Howie, tough for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pete, what does this mean for A.J. Brown?
What does it mean for A.J. Brown? I think he's going to get traded. I think he is gone. And to be honest with you, I think that thing had run its course. I think a lot of things had run their course in Philadelphia. I mean, you look at the Eagles, the stories coming out about Jalen Hurts, and believe me, we've heard a bunch of stories that are going on in that team. And some people said that maybe A.J. Brown isn't even the worst problem on that team. So the reality is I think he's going to be traded. I think he wants to be traded. I think New England is in play for possibly being traded. And it makes sense to get him out of there.
So, Rand.
Remember, they also got Wicks from the Packers.
I was going to say, they have Dontavian Wicks. They signed Hollywood Brown. Yeah. Now they have Makai Lemon and obviously Slim Reaper and Devonta Smith. Are they going to get a first-round pick for A.J. Brown?
I think it remains to be seen.
I don't think they do.
We know Howie. He is going to press for one, and if he can't get a straight-up one, he'll try to take multiple picks. That will give go ahead, B-Mac. I see it on your face.
Yeah, because we're hearing all kind of rumors, right? We don't know if these are clean rumors or dirty rumors, but we're hearing rumors about the Patriots trying to figure out what's going on with George Pickens. George just signed his franchise tag today, right? And we thought he would wait so he wouldn't have to show up for anything. But with him signing that tag today, clearly he believes there's a suitor for him in terms of trading for his services. So if you're Howie, if you're the New England Patriots, to Pete's point about Patriots and A.J. Brown, maybe I understand you have a June date that you need to be mindful of, right? But understanding and knowing the New England Patriots had a 31st pick, not knowing what their pick could be next year, and knowing that you would much rather have a pick this year, wouldn't you try to make something happen now?
Well, I mean, to your point, if indeed George Pickens signed the franchise tag because there's a potential trade option, now it becomes a true negotiation because it's A.J. Brown, I'm assuming, A.J. Brown.
Hypothetical.
Or
George Pickens.
And so now
But A.J. Brown's still under contract. And so
and you would have to pay
trade with George Pickens, you're going to have to pay him.
Wait,
well, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to do something for A.J. Brown anyway. You're going to have to convert some of that money.
Right,
to
you could do like you did, like they did with Dexter Lawrence.
As
you
a
could give him
GM, why would you trade away one headache for potentially a worse migraine?
I didn't say I would. I'm just.
But is that
But
You're talking about who are you talking about?
You send away AJ and you take on George Pickens. Why is that better?
No, you're talking about George Pickens going to the Patriots.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
Because clearly we've been hearing ties with the
The
Patriots.
Patriots want a wide receiver.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown's here, George Pickens is here, and now maybe they have an opportunity to play each other. And if that's the case, then the price might come down on A.J. Brown
I see.
a little bit.
I was in my own thoughts here.
He's Haitian from Canada.
But yeah,
That's a whole story. I got lost in my own
And
thoughts.
also, too, to Pete's point with the Eagles acquiring Wicks and now getting Makai Lemon, it's almost like you're trying to find a way to move AJ because of
here's the
wide
thing,
receiver room.
but you also lessen your negotiation
correct.
power.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
By
now-
making
now-
these
now
moves,
you're-
now it's like,
right.
look, you have to move on.
You have to move them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the Dallas Cowboys, where I think George Pickens still plays there. I was confused for a moment. I got my notes right here. I do know this: they traded up one spot and got Caleb Downs, and then they traded down a few spots to 23 and got Malachi Lawrence. I give that an A.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And by the way, I'm going to sit here in late April and say it. The Dallas Cowboys are not only going to win the damn division, they're going to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And how many times have we heard that in Dallas, right?
A lot.
Oh, my God, this is Dallas's year. You know what? For all the criticism that Jerry Jones has taken, and believe me, a lot of it is deserved, when this team takes the field, and the way they're constructed right now, new look defense, you add those guys to that defense, you add a pass rusher with twitch, you add the guy in the back end, the Dallas Cowboys are going to score a ton of points on offense. That team is going to be a Super Bowl contender, and they will win the East.
Oh, I thought you was going to say they will win. I thought you were going to be that definitive in April that they were going to
not
win the Super
yet.
Bowl.
Not yet. I got to see more.
Listen, I won't push back on that at all. I love what they've done this offseason because bigger than going to get all the players that they've gotten, starting in October at the trade deadline, October, November, whatever it was, you go get a new defensive coordinator. And not only do you go get a new defensive coordinator, you get it from a division opponent and that holds a defensive structure that you have probably struggled with. So now you get to implement that, and not only are you getting to implement it to help your team and be a nuisance to other teams, but now you face it every day. And now you have a game plan in place to beat that defense that you're going to have to play twice a year in Philly. So I love what Dallas has done. Again, I don't think there's anybody that's outdrafted Dallas over the last 10 years.
They've done a good job.
And I would love to see someone put it side by side because the draft and player acquisition hadn't been an issue. It's been the retention of these guys that has become more of an issue. So we say Jerry, we say Steven. I'm going to throw Will McClay in there.
Yes.
Because Will McClay has done a hell of a job. And at some point soon, we're going to see him running someone's organization and turning someone's organization around the way he's helped turn.
They need one more addition.
A linebacker.
Because they don't have a second-round pick.
Yeah, they don't pick again for a little bit here.
Till
They
the
don't pick
third
again
round,
till
right, Ryan?
Pick 92.
So at 92, if they can hope that Trotter is still on the board.
Yeah.
This off-ball linebacker class is so deep, he may be gone. They're going to find somebody else.
Yeah.
But here's what, 100%, don't disagree. But and the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I have said this probably the last 3-4 years about the Rams linebacker core. They need a linebacker.
They're not very good.
But they've never addressed it, and they continue to be a really good defense.
Cowboys, by the way, one quick thing. Line, quarterback.
All right, before we take a break, I'll ask you all. Over under 11.5 next year for the Dallas Cowboys.
Over. I'll go over.
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 Man, you guys just fall right in line.
Star, baby.
All right, let's take another quick break here. A lot more to come. First round post-draft coverage here on With the First Pick, presented by Jeep. There's only one. We'll be back right after this. Our post-first round draft coverage continues on With the First Pick, presented by Jeep. There is only one. Raise the roof.
You know, if we keep going, the second round will start.
Second round's going to start shortly.
Why not?
Kansas City Chiefs had 2 first-round picks. They did trade up from 9 to 6. And B-Mac, you are a resident cornerback. Would you have traded up from 9 to 6 to get Mansoor Delane, who is all of our CB cornerback 1, given Jeremiah McCoy's injury concerns?
Yeah, I have no issue with them because you don't want to get Howie Roseman, right? Sit and wait and another team go get him. And I understand me and Pete had the discussion about who potentially could get Delane, I think the New Orleans Saints were definitely targeting him because they need cornerback play, and we all felt like he would be the only corner that would be worthy to be a top 10 pick, right? So for Kansas City, you lost both starting corners from a year ago in Watson and McDuffie. It was a big-time need, and you get a guy who has position flexibility. I think he can play inside. We know he's been more of an outside corner throughout his collegiate year last year at LSU, but he has the mindset to be able to play inside if you need be. He's a handsy guy. He's an all-around corner, in my opinion. So I love that move with the first selection and then doubling down with another defender with the second selection in the first round was huge.
Yeah, look, you moved up to go get him. You gave up a couple picks to do it. You don't know for a fact that they would have taken him. You might have assumed that. So you got to look at it and say, okay, was it worth giving up 2 later picks to go up 3 spots to go get the corner? And the answer to that, we don't know because we don't know who's going to take it. But he's clearly a guy they needed. I mean, he's a good corner. They have corner issues. It kind of goes against sometimes of what they've done in recent years, though. They found corners. I mean, they didn't draft them. They weren't highly drafted guys. McDuffie was, but Snead wasn't, and Williams wasn't, and Watson wasn't. I mean, so they found guys. So it goes against it a little bit, but I like the move. I think they needed to address it, and getting the pass rusher and the defensive lineman, I mean, they can push the pocket. They need to push the pocket. They haven't been the same team. Chris Jones, great player, but they need to be able to push the pocket more.
And we talked a lot in the pre-draft process.
And you know how I feel about that guy, by the way. I like him a lot.
You're a big Peter Woods guy, but we talked a lot about Caleb Downston in particular being next to Chris Jones. I would imagine Peter Woods will have an opportunity to excel as well.
Yeah, I mean, because again, you get to be
Caleb Banks, sorry.
Yeah, you get to be in a room on a day-to-day basis with an all-pro player, right? And you get to learn how to become a pro. And that system and that organization is so structured, especially under Spags calling his defense. He gets to learn. And now, again, he's found a little bit of what works for him from a weight perspective and what doesn't work for him. And now he gets to, again, go into this system that's already operating and running, right? And now you get to go into one of the better organizations in the league, one of the better teams in the league with arguably one of the best head coaches in the league as a young guy. And you know that you're going to get coached and you know you're going to get developed.
You know what's interesting about that pick, too, is if you go back even to all the Super Bowl teams, the one spot that was always a little concerning was the one next to Chris Jones. They tried it with Derek Nottie and those kind of guys.
It was a revolving door.
Yeah, and now they finally have a guy you can put right there and say, hey, you two together, go up the field and attack.
And if they can unlock Peter Woods from 2024,
right?
Wow.
Well, he's got to get the weight back.
Yeah,
he got too thin.
Unlock that
he was
guy.
325 or whatever a year ago. Played really well 2 years ago. Got down to 298 because he thought it would help him, and it hurt him. Yeah. He's going to get back to that weight.
And you know what's interesting? We talked a lot in the weeks and months leading up to this draft about all the cornerbacks and how much depth there is. Do you guys know how many cornerbacks went in the first round?
2.
2.
Yes.
We knew about Jamal McCoy's injury concerns.
Yep.
Colton Hood, we thought had a chance. The other Tennessee corner, he didn't go.
Pons.
D'Angelo Pons.
And that's why I'm okay with Kansas City moving up. Because clearly it wasn't a deep first-round cornerback class like we've seen in years past. I don't know the last time we only saw 2 corners go in the first round.
Yeah. Right.
And you know for Spags, he's going to want to play man.
Right.
Yeah. He's going to want to play man. He's going to want to have a guy that can put their hands on guys, be physical, get body to body on them. And Mansoor Delane was one of the better guys being able to do that.
Yep.
All right. Producer Lucas, we want to go winners and losers now, or we want to take a quick break? What are you thinking? All right, let's take another quick break here, and then we're going to get to our winners and losers. And Pete, he's the loser. I don't know what you had. Oh, never mind. I know what it is. It's pick 3. So we'll talk about that. And Pete,
no, it's not.
Oh, it's something different. Even better. That's a tease. Let's take a quick break. Come back, talk winners and losers. Salute this Raiders fan here, Fernando Mendoza. Be back right after this. Presented by Jeep. There's only one with the first pick.
Does anybody look more like the anti-Raider than that guy?
It's now time for Pat the Draft. Presented by Jeep. There's only one. From with the first pick to the actual first pick, Fernando Mendoza, who went from, and we talked about this all summer, went from Cal, where he took a whooping routinely, and it was clear to us that he had what it potentially took to work his way into the first round and now first overall pick. Just give me a couple thoughts on the progress he made from the summer to April 23rd here.
I think the biggest thing is he was surrounded by better talent and he was better protected. I think at Auburn, not at Auburn, I think at Cal, he got his teeth kicked in every week.
Sacked over 40 times.
But continue to get up and answer the bell and have them in football games. And he went to a place that was better able to protect him and clearly had better weapons around him.
And that's why my winner are Raiders fans. I think, Pete, they finally have a reason to be excited.
Yes, absolutely.
Any concerns about the Tom Brady potential intervention, the ownership maybe leaning on Tom Brady? Any of that stuff bother you?
Listen, Tom Brady has too many jobs to be in there
No.
day-to-day working with
No,
Fernando
absolutely
Mendoza.
not. Okay. And you know what? If Fernando Mendoza needs to get some advice from a quarterback, he has an old guy in the backup, and he's got a guy that's won Super Bowls as the owner. So I think it's a great situation. If you're a Raider fan, you should be encouraged by this. And you know what you talked about last year at Cal? I remember watching him against Miami, and he was ripping that damn thing. And you're sitting there saying, this kid has potential. Did I think he would go to be the #1 pick in the draft? Probably not, but I thought he had a chance to be a first-round pick. They should be excited about it.
B-Mac, do you know who my other winner is?
Who?
Cam Ward and Tyler Shuck, because I got Carnell, Tate, and Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
You feel okay with that?
I'm okay with that as well. I think when you have a young quarterback, if you want to see growth and development, give them some guys that can make their life a little easier. I love what Tyler Shuck did to end the season for the New Orleans Saints, kept them relevant, kept them in that playoff conversation, and now adding one of the more dynamic wide receivers in the game in Tyson. I love, and the same can be said for Cam Ward as well.
B-Mac, Moran, who puts up
Who are you?
As if I don't do the show with this dude every day.
Unbelievable.
You done call me B-Mac, Logan Jones. You done call me everything but my damn name.
Typically, I've been asleep 5 hours right now. But I want to ask you, Ryan Carthon, who puts up bigger numbers next year? Not the wide receivers, but is it Cam Ward or is it Tyler Shuck?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. And if I had to go off the top of my head right now, I'd probably give the nod to Cam. Because I think there's more depth at the wide receiver position around him, and you have the young tight end in Gunnar Helm, who I think is going to be really good.
Texas.
And
You're a big Tyler Gunnar guy, yeah.
By the way, the best thing about this draft for the Saints and what they've done in the offseason, they went out and got ETN/HN or whatever his name is, and they got help on the offensive line, and they're going to use this year to find out what Tyler Shuck is all about.
Yeah.
They gave him a chance. He now has another weapon with the
Well,
go
he
with
earned
Olave.
the chance.
But again, you don't know over that short sample size. Yeah. Now you have a chance, and you can find out who he truly is. If he goes out there and just lights it up, he's their quarterback for the long term.
You know what? I'm glad you said all of that. I want to change my answer, change my pick.
Right,
I'm gonna go with Tyler Shuck because I'm thinking about Chris Olave.
Yeah,
and
that's why I looked at you
and
like
now
that.
you have Jordan Tyson.
They brought in Noah Fant, tight end.
Alvin Kamara.
We're not
Offensive.
And you still
I'm
got.
just saying,
you still have Alvin
Find somebody
Kamara.
that loves you on a one-year deal like B-Mac loves you.
I
really
love
does.
one of your deals.
Noah Fant.
And all I'm seeing in my head is Jordan Tyson winning at the line of scrimmage with his release work.
And another thing-
being able to catch the ball and have room to go.
Shuck can rip the ball. That ball's going down the field. They're going to be a team that drives the ball down the field.
And another thing that works in Tyler's favor, and the defense is he don't have to see Houston twice a year like Cam would.
That's true.
Right? You look at Jacksonville and what they're building defensively twice a year, and the Colts, they're going to be serviceable as well. You don't have that same firepower in the NFC South defensively.
And Kellen Moore can call plays.
Yeah.
Right. It'll be Kellen Moore in our conversation here versus Brian Dable, which is also be interesting. B-Mac, one of your winners also, he was born and named Ty as well.
No question. My biggest winner is Ty Simpson. You talk about one of the more major surprises in the first round. Ty Simpson going 13, right? Not only going 13, but going to an organization in terms of stability and offensive structure. The Rams have that. And I think when we all talked about Ty Simpson coming into tonight's draft, we all said, well, if he go in the first round, he's going to be in the back end. And it would be to a team maybe like the Arizona Cardinals or the New York Jets, right? But for the Rams to do what they did today, if you're Ty Simpson, you have to be elated because, number one, you go to a well-established offense in terms of head coaching and coaching in totality, and you're not forced to play this season.
I want to ask you, and I want to hear what Pete and Mr. Rand has to say.
Who, me? You got my name right?
I had stumbled.
Finally.
You saw me stumble. Now, in the break, we were watching Sean McVay and Les Snead very awkwardly sit at a press conference. It felt a lot like the Colts press conference when they named, what's his name, the head coach, the former player. and Chris Ballard just sitting there like a hostage. What do you make of that? Because that was weird.
That wasn't encouraging if you're a fan of the Rams, because it felt like they weren't all in.
About the decision to draft.
Because Sean McVay, we've seen Sean McVay doing post-draft pressers when he's talking about the guys they just selected, and we've seen more excitement, more emotion. It felt like he wasn't happy, right? And you can take it for whatever you want to take it, but based on what we see and and just his body language and expression, it felt like he wasn't happy. But if you're Ty Simpson, you can care less.
Yeah,
right?
Ty Simpson doesn't care, but that was telling to me. He looked more downtrodden than he did after he lost the championship game.
And also, if you don't love a player, Rand, and he comes into the building and he's struggling early on, I would imagine subconsciously or otherwise, it's going to affect your judgment of that young player.
Yeah, I was always taught that you never give coaches players they don't want to coach. Because it's not going to be advantageous for the player. It's not going to be advantageous for the coach.
Just then.
And so, again, that was very awkward to see, and I would hope to learn a little bit more behind that. Maybe that's not what we think it is. Let's just hope that's
we'll
the
find
case.
out.
But the thing is, for me, and going back to Ty Simpson being a winner, Ty Simpson had offers to return to school for $6.5 million, and now you go 13.
Yes.
Well, you're going to be guaranteed at least $25
Yes,
million.
no question.
So he bet on himself,
He won.
and he won.
And get this, though. Sean said he's going to compete with Stetson Bennett.
But Pete and I have been
They
saying
like
for
Stetson Bennett.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stetson Simpson versus Stetson Bennett. Let's
Remember,
go.
I threw out Stetson's name earlier in the show in terms of what he did at Georgia when y'all was talking about Carson Beck. But just hearing that alone, you just drafted him in 13th, and now you got to compete with Stetson Bennett. We all thought he wouldn't be number 2.
Yeah.
But we all find out. Hopefully, our guy Rand can give us some inside information.
Pete, you're winner of the Dallas Cowboys. You talked about them earlier, and I don't know what else you can say. You said they're going to win the Super Bowl. By the way, I'll say
He
this.
didn't say that.
No, I didn't say they would win the Super
Well, he
Bowl.
said- you see
I
how
said
he
they're a
put that?
Super Bowl contender.
One of our colleagues texted me and said it sounds like Pete is due a drug test based on your contention. He's an Eagles fan, based on your contention that the Cowboys.
I know who that is.
I know who that is, too. Look, the bottom line is they're good on the offensive line because they've drafted well there.
Yes.
They're going to be good on the defensive line because they got Quinnen Williams in that group, and now they add a pass rusher to go with it. You look at the secondary, that's coming together. And so, all in all, you got a quarterback that can put up big numbers as well. They're going to be more physical in the run game, provided everybody stays healthy on that offensive line.
Yeah.
Where are the Cowboys bad? And we talked about linebacker. They'll find one in the third or fourth
I'll
round.
say this.
If Overshawn comes back and plays like he did a couple years ago, then they'll be better at linebacker. But they still need another one.
I think in terms of, I agree, I think they're going to compete for the division.
I think they're winning the division.
I think they can win the division as well. I can see them winning over 11 games, right? But what happens with George Pickens, right? If you can keep him in uniform, I think they can win a championship with him. If you can keep him in uniform. But if you move on from George Pickens, you don't know what you will get in return, regardless if it's a pick or a player that can fit the offense like George Pickens did. Because last year they had 2 wide receiver ones.
But are you going to have angry George Pickens playing on a franchise tag?
That's what I'm saying.
Do you want that?
How can you keep him happy in a uniform regardless if he doesn't get a new deal? But if they don't have George Pickens, I still believe they can do everything you said. But I think having George Pickens in that uniform along with the defense, they can win a championship in L.A. next season.
I think it's George Pickens that elevates this thing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's George.
But happy George Pickens. You don't want him complaining and moaning and groaning.
And I want to say this before Ryan jumps in and tells us that we got to move on because
I got to be the
he's
bad
got to be
cop.
in the mean stepdad over here.
Well, I got to be a stepdad.
Because you're behaving like one. You forget my name. But here's what I want to say. We will finally get to see who the real George Pickens is this year.
What do you mean?
From the standpoint, you're on a 1-year deal. And if he's with this ball club, you got a lot to play for, right? So you can't. No. You can't go out here and be angry man, pouting, bad body language. This is what people are already saying about you, and this is why no one's paid you thus far.
Well, my thing is this. In terms of the business, George Pickens had a phenomenal year with 1,400 yards, one of the best receivers in the league, statistically speaking. So he's deserving of seeing a contract. Unfortunately for George Pickens, they're already paying C.D. Lamb top-tier money. So it's hard for Dallas to do that.
It's not hard. You know why it's not hard?
Why?
Because we got an example in Cincinnati.
T. Higgins ain't getting top wide receiver money, though. It's a nice gap of separation between T. T is getting north of 27.
Do you think any part of that is they're reluctant to pay him because they want to see what he can do for another year?
No.
Yeah.
Because I know this much.
Oh, yeah,
you know
that's exactly why it
You know
is.
this much as a former GM. When you trade and give up a third-round pick for a player, right, you want to get at least 3 or 4 years out of that player. You don't pay a player and say, you know what, we're going to only have you 2 years. We're tagging you. You finish your current contract and then we're tagging
Yes, you do. If you have what you've done in your past, you
Listen,
do.
here's what you do. If you give up a third-round pick for a player, or you give up a second-round pick, typically when that pick is swapped, there's players coming in with a new deal already.
And that's what confused me last year.
So the issue is he had to prove to them who he was. It wasn't the product on the field. They knew they were getting a great player, but you don't know him. You don't know the day-to-day that is George Pickens. And so he had to prove it in that building. And so now, again, when you know as a player, as a human, that if I ball out, which is totally in his control, and I am the best representative of myself as a person, which is totally in his control, then I will be taken care of and get my money, whether it's in Dallas or somewhere else. But if you go out here and do all the antics and all of that, you're feeding into the hands of what everyone else
The
has already
Cowboys
said.
do what they always do. They wait too late. Like they wait
That's
too
true.
late with Dak Prescott. Like they waited too late with CeeDee Lamb. When they traded George last year, and
They
by
didn't
the
wait
month
too
of
late 'cause they got
October,
it done.
by the month of October, November, when George was doing what he was doing, offer him 3 for $60.
Well, you know,
Right? 3 for $60.
He was not taking that.
You don't know that, but just throw it out there.
But I know
right?
that.
Because
They still wanted to see what he was in their building.
you know what he is and put
No, you
put
don't.
language in the
I
contract.
guarantee you they still don't know, which is why they put the tag
Well,
on.
they shouldn't trade for him.
And who is his agent?
Mulligata.
Well, they got to figure it out.
So you guys, in the span of 8 minutes, have talked yourselves into this team going from the Super Bowl to having the first overall pick next year.
I said
No,
they're
no, no.
Super Bowl
Who said that?
contenders. I said
I
they're
know,
Super Bowl
I'm
contenders.
kidding.
Me and Rand agree. With George Pickens, they can win a Super Bowl.
Correct.
Without George, they still a quality playoff caliber
still win.
team.
No,
but
that's
I'm not quite ready to say that they can win a
I
championship.
agree with that. I think that's fair. Rand, your winner are the Kansas City Chiefs, and based on what they did in the first round, Mansoor Delane, Peter Woods traded up and stayed put. Who's going to have a better record next year? Their Dallas Cowboys or your Kansas City Chiefs?
I would lean early on the Dallas Cowboys having a better record,
Just
simply because we don't know the health of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know his health. Even if he suits up week 1, we don't know how healthy he is and how
Can he move?
Can he be Patrick Mahomes and do the things that make Patrick Mahomes special? I picked these guys as my winner because I don't want to speak for everybody up here, but I will say that we all felt comfortable that Peter Woods coming into the year would be a top 5 pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And I think most people would say that he was DT number 1 on their list.
Yep.
That's why I've stood firm. I don't believe he forgot how to play football. A lot of things went bad at Clemson last year. You could say that across the board for a lot of people over there. This kid did not forget how to play football. There are some things he has to figure out in terms of what's the correct weight, his usage, position, all of that stuff. This is a super talented kid, and you get him at 29.
Yeah.
And
I
then
love
you
it.
and then you go and get the number 1 corner in the draft class that can do everything that you want to do. Their defense, which has been a thorn in their side, their defense got significantly better. You get an interior rusher to now go along with Chris Jones, and you can move him around, and you got a guy that could take the ball away.
And how much easier is it to go from Clemson, where you are the dude inside, even though you had T.J. Parker, even DeMonte Capar to a degree, to now having Chris Jones be your mentor, so to speak?
All these kids, and we talked to a ton of these kids, all these kids are looking for mentors.
Right.
They're looking for the vet to, how many guys that we talk about, those pass rushers, hey, what if Cleveland takes you? Oh my God, to be with Myles Garrett, I'll follow him around like a little puppy, I'll do
Yeah,
whatever
Pete made
he
fun
wants.
of me. Reuben Bain sat down. He said, "Oh, Ryan has you going 6." He said, "Thank you. I would love to go play opposite Myles Garrett."
And so all these guys are looking for mentors, especially one that have that carry the name, right? Because they know the name. And then once they see the name, they see the production, they see how much these guys are getting paid. Why wouldn't you want to follow that?
By the way, when you watch him on tape, Clemson had him standing up, rushing the pass. I don't know what the hell they were doing with him. Kansas City and Steve Spagnuolo are going to use him the right way, and he's going to become a force in the middle of that defense.
All right, let's take another break here. We're going to come back and talk about our losers, and these aren't necessarily going to be draft picks. Potentially people currently on the roster I mean, Pete's going to go back out to Southern California, and his is a veteran player. You see him right here, Matthew Stafford. But we might have to include the GM and the head coach, Pete, in terms of what seems to be a disconnect. We'll talk about that and more right after this with the first pick presented by Jeep. There is only one. With the first picks, post-first-round draft coverage continues, presented by Jeep. There is only one. And we are now turning our attention to losers, Pete. And your original loser was Matthew Stafford before we saw the post-first-round pick press conference from the Rams, where it certainly doesn't seem like the GM and the head coach are on the same page. Would you like to add them to the list of losers in L.A.?
Well, it didn't look like the GM was angry. It looked like the head coach wasn't real happy with the pick. And the reality is look, Matt Stafford is probably playing his last year. The Rams have already indicated with like Trent McDuffie deal that they want to go all in to try and win it again like they did a couple years ago when they made the deal to go get Jalen Ramsey and they won it. But the reality is Sean McVay is good friends with Matt Stafford. They go places together. They hang out together. He can't be happy if he wasn't in on this. And they said, well, we called Matt Stafford. If I'm Matt Stafford and I get that call probably from Les Snead, and he says we're going to draft a quarterback at number 13, I'm not happy about that. I'm going to say, well, why? Yeah. Well, you only have 1 year left. That's what the explanation will be. Okay, but I have 1 year left. Let's go for it. Go get me a wide receiver with some juice. Get me somebody that can take the top off a little bit in this passing offense. I know we've been good, but we can be even better. If we're really going for it, get me something else. So I think Matt Stafford, from that standpoint, is the loser, in large part because he's back for another year and they didn't help him try and win.
You know what? I don't disagree, and we can talk about Ty Simpson being a good fit in this offense. Even if Ty Simpson wins 8 Super Bowls, if Matthew Stafford had an opportunity to win a Super Bowl this year, if they'd gotten traded for Makai Lemon, if they took Omar Cooper Jr., man, they could have taken Kenny Sadiq. I think anything skill position-wise would have been a better choice.
Even the offensive lineman. Right.
And 4 of their offensive linemen, I think, or 3 or 4 of them are in the last year of the deals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of them situations, man. Like I again, like the post-draft presser is like, it's baffling to me.
Yeah.
I hope, by the way, I hope this isn't the case because they've been such a well-run organization with Les Snead and Sean in sync that you hope this isn't one of those situations when we've seen it many a time in this league where ego gets in the way of something. And that's never a good thing.
Right. And look, all we're doing is reading body language and listening to the words and the way they were saying.
That's not hard to read.
But right, we do not know the truth as you're pointing out, but based on what our eyeballs told us, what are you saying after you make the first-round pick? Is the PR person there? You're obviously talking to the head coach. Like, what's the conversation when you're going to, hey, let's go talk about the fact that we took J.C. Latham here, for example?
No, so you make the pick, you speak to the player. Obviously, you know, B-Mac's been on the other end of the call. You pass the phone around. GM, head coach, owner, sometimes coordinators in the room, position coach. Everyone's excited. And then you step back. And then the PR guy comes in and, all right, well, we're going to go speak to the local guys in 10 minutes. This is probably what's coming, and there's a little rundown of the questions that are coming. And so we kind of talk through it back there about the who, what, when, where, and why, and then you go out and you do it.
What I didn't see, we saw the clip of it. Did anybody ask the next follow-up question? You don't seem too happy about this, Sean. Yeah. Is there a reason for that? And I didn't see that. I didn't see anybody. Yeah. If I was there, I would ask that question.
We know you would have.
Hell yeah. You don't seem too happy with it. Why? Did you not want this?
That would have been your first question.
Of course. Right? As soon as I saw him walk in all slumped over and the way he was, I'm serious. They lost the championship game to the Seahawks in tough fashion, and he didn't look that disappointed.
But again, and that's why context matters.
Right.
We can't be so quick to rush to judge of what this really is, because how many times have we seen clips being posted and it's not even in a line with what the question was?
Yeah.
And so
yeah, but that was more than just answering a question. It looked like he wasn't into it. It didn't look, usually draft night, the phone gets passed around. Hey, welcome to the team. Hey, welcome to the team. And then you go down the hallway and everybody's all, look, we got this guy. Even though 3 years later, you're probably cutting him.
After the war room site, when the coaches talk about the first round pick, most coaches and GMs are happy.
Right.
Like, but for Sean, we didn't see what we usually seen from him in years past.
And it's the culmination of so much work that you let it all out, and you're just
we got our guy, man.
We have everybody. That was telling.
Maybe he had the flu. in which case I would understand him being slumped down.
He had no flu.
He didn't, yeah.
You know who has-
he had this? He had the Simpson flu, is what he had.
You know who also has the black and gold flu? B-Mac, who are your losers?
The Steelers. The Steelers by losing. The Steelers by losing. And this is no knock on Max.
Maxie
right?
not sure. It has nothing to do with the right
It has
tackle.
nothing to do with
This
Max.
is gonna be a good
I
player.
think Max is going to be a really, really good player. And quiet as kept, I don't know if there's another right tackle that's faced the dogs that he faced last year.
Right.
You know, Malachi, you know,
Bailey.
UCF, yeah, Bailey, and stood up against some high-level first-round type guys. But the Steelers are my loser because of what transpired right before their pick was up.
What happened?
Calling Makai Lemon. There's a report that the Steelers called Makai Lemon.
Makai admitted it.
Yeah.
So it's not a report.
Yeah, it's legit, right? That he was on the phone with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers had all intent to draft him, and they were letting Makai know that. Well, while they were having that phone call, the Philadelphia Eagles traded up with the Dallas Cowboys in front of the Pittsburgh Steelers to 20 to take Makai, right? So clearly they pulled a switcheroo on the Pittsburgh Steelers because they didn't think the Philadelphia Eagles would do any business with a division foe, and then secondly go up to 20 to go get the guy they wanted to get. So it felt like it put Pittsburgh in a very, very unprepared situation.
But how many times during the draft, did you call somebody and say, hey, if you're there, we're going to take you?
And that's where I was going to say, like, this is why you wait till you're on the clock.
Correct.
To make that call. You don't call a pick ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to your point, they got hit with that 52 fake out. You know that play where you fake the dive and you flip it to the back? I know you've probably been got with one of those.
I have.
before.
This is a
But
good eye discipline.
B-Mac talked about this earlier, Rand. I would imagine the Steelers figured that there's no way that Jerry Jones is going to do business with Howie Roseman.
But again,
But he could have
that's-
done business with somebody else that would have gone up there and taken him.
Not at 20, though. At 20.
But again, regardless, we've seen, especially in NFC East, we've seen Philly trade Donovan McNabb to Washington.
Yeah.
We've seen these things happen in the NFC East. But to Pete's point, this is why you wait till you're on the clock. You may have the card already in front of you. Hey, get Makai Lemon's number for me. And let's make sure that this is right, and may have it on a Post-it note sitting here waiting. And if he's not picked, all right, guys, Makai Lemon, we're going to get ready to turn it in. Let's make sure. But you wait until you're on.
I'm saying somebody, another team
Outside
could
of
have
the
come up.
Eagles.
Could have come up. So, yeah.
But here's-
That's why you wait.
But here's the insult to injury. Let me ask you this. Again, no knocks to the right tackle. He's not going to start right away. Would you rather have had a developmental right tackle or Omar Cooper Jr.?
And see, that was going to be my next thing. If you were trying to get a wide receiver that can contribute right now, and if Makai Lemon is gone, Omar Cooper is the next best option. Why not still go get a wide receiver in Omar Cooper, who we all loved, right?
Maybe they didn't love him.
And maybe
Okay,
they didn't.
okay.
But if
Hold on. They had Casey Concepcion available.
Maybe they didn't love
Maybe they
him.
didn't love him.
But here's the other thing. Sometimes, and I'm going to say this because I've watched this over the course of history of many times I covered this draft. Sometimes the best moves you make are the ones you don't make. We might look back on this in 5 years from now, and you look there as a dominant all-pro right tackle, just mauling dudes in the run game, and you look at the wide receiver, he's a good player, but he's not a tier one wide receiver. So
Yeah.
I think in the history of the Steelers, developing guys on their offensive and defensive lines, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit here. So I'm okay. Look, did they want Lemon? Sure, but it might work out for the
But
best.
that's why I said no knock on
Positive
Max.
Pete.
But
Right,
Arizona
big people.
State
There's
also.
only so many
Arizona
big
State.
people who can play the game.
Oh yeah, Arizona State.
Right?
But I like
No,
Max.
that has nothing to do with ASU.
I like Max. I'm not knocking Max. I think Max is going to be a good player, but
fit.
how much will he contribute this season?
It's a Ty Simpson effect for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Kind of, sort of, O-line wise. I
Well,
think
they might need him to. If the left tackle can't play, they might end up
and maybe
playing.
he should be ready, but we know the known is that Makai can give us something right now, especially with Michael Pittman Jr., all the tight ends, DK Metcalf. You throw him in maybe at the slot.
Right.
You know, he's going to contribute week one.
But
we
again,
don't know.
Again, if
with
you
Max.
win with offensive and defensive
I don't disagree.
lines in this
It's just
league,
the rug got pulled from underneath
It
them.
did, 100%, and I'm right there with you. Two things to Pete's initial point. We don't know how this 2013, there was no one to draft, and then they took Eric Fisher number 1 because they had to, the Chiefs, and then Luke Jokel went number 2.
It was a guard, but Deion Jordan was in that draft.
Number 4 was some guy named Lane Johnson who's going to be a Hall of Famer. You
Right.
just don't know. The other thing, our Eagles fan won't quit tweeting at us here or texting me. The Cowboys also traded with the Eagles when they came up to get Slim Reaper as well, Devonta Smith. So they've done business before. I guess Omar didn't know that little fun nugget there. So
Just didn't think it would happen tonight.
B-Mac, I would ask you to put your seatbelt on because I can't wait to hear Rand's loser.
Yeah, what's Rand's?
My loser is a person that we hold dear to our heart, that we love, and we know is just really going through something right now.
Who is it? Look at
Bryant, and I'm gonna give you a middle name, Bryant Leofus McFadden.
third.
How did I make your losers?
You are my loser for today because you are so emotional about this pick.
You cried more than Jordan Tyson did tonight, and that's saying something. that kid had a flood underneath him after he cried.
Because when we were sitting in the green room, and as we're talking about the picks that are coming, if you could have seen your face, if I could have pulled my phone out and took a picture.
I'm glad you did.
Because your face was, your jaw was down here, your eyes were bucked.
His lip was trembling.
And this hurts you.
The only thing worse would have been if it was Carson Beck.
Oh, that's coming though. Just wait.
That might come tomorrow.
Yeah, you
today.
You look like Sean McVay looked after that.
I'll slump down.
You know what? But honestly, the reason why I looked that way, Rand, and you shouldn't have been paying attention to me like that, was because we wanted another guy.
Right.
Now, if you told me there was no phone call being made to Makai Lemon, I don't feel that way because clearly Max was the guy.
Let me ask
but
you
you
something.
called him because you was trying to draft him.
Let me ask you, B-Mac,
What?
because B-Mac and I were together. You were there, Pete, but B-Mac and I had gone for a walk in Las Vegas, the 2022 draft, with the Steelers on the clock at pick 20, and we heard over the loudspeaker, and the Steelers select Kenny Pickett. Do you feel worse about that? Or?
That.
Okay, well, there you go.
I
You
do.
got something
You
to throw
solved
on
your
there.
quarterback issues.
Who?
Kenny Pickett.
No, he didn't solve it. But I felt worse about that.
That was a tough pill to swallow, for sure.
So again, now you see why B-Mac's my loser, because this really affects you.
What's his middle name?
Leofus.
Leofus.
How do you even spell Leofus?
You know how to spell it.
L-E-O-Fus.
All right. I don't know for certain, but my loser, his middle name might also be Leofus. Pete, I'm going to come to you because the Patriots traded up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they got Caleb Lomu, the left tackle out of Utah, and we've heard the ball coach say that Will Campbell is going to what? Stay at left tackle?
All he said after the Super Bowl, he's our left tackle. He's going to be a left tackle. He's going to stay at left tackle.
So
Even
what-
though I always thought he was a guard, but
Is
that's
this,
another issue.
do you agree that this potentially is not a great development for Will Campbell as a left tackle going forward?
Well, look, there are guys that you can look at him and you say, he could be a left tackle, he could be a right tackle, he could play both. This kid's a left tackle. And you look at him and he looks like a left tackle. So I don't know. We haven't seen what they said yet, but I would imagine what's going to happen. He's going to be the left tackle. Will Campbell kicks inside the left guard, and the left guard kicks inside the center.
Is that Jared Wilson?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you kick, and your offensive line is much bigger, much better.
And you deal with Morgan Moses after next year when his contract expires?
Yeah. And then if Morgan Moses next year, if you decide, okay, he's not going to come back, you bring Campbell and maybe move him over to the right side and play the right tackle.
Rand, let me ask you, you guys drafted Peter Skoronski, left tackle at Northwestern, knowing that he was going to be a guard. I know we've talked about this, but just for the sake of our conversations here, any similarities with Will Campbell potentially doing that?
I felt like when we took Peter Skoronski, we were taking him as a guard, right? Similar thing, shorter arms, didn't know that he had the range to kick and be able to play on the perimeter at tackle. But you knew he was plenty strong, he was stout at the point, which made you feel good about transitioning him to guard. I feel like there is a core strength issue with Will Campbell.
Was that a function of the injury or before?
No, I think it was before,
Okay.
right? But again, I feel like this offseason, hopefully we'll see a stronger player. And the reason why I say that is because his first offseason coming into the year, he was training for the combine, he was training for pro day. You didn't have time to develop the deficiencies in your game. Now, after you've gone through your first year, you know you need to get stronger. Your entire offseason program could be about you getting bigger, putting more mass on, putting on weight the right way, and getting stronger. Now, is it going to be a significant jump? Probably not, because that's just innately what his body structure is. So for me, I don't know that he could be a full-time guard in the way that they play football offensively, just because it's a core.
Well, he's going to have to get more power. I mean, there's no question about it. He's going to have to get stronger.
And look, he could actually be a winner as being a fantastic guard.
I wonder what he benched at the combine.
Yeah, we got to look those numbers up.
He-
But also,
he-
too, now, to give Will
loves
some
that.
credit, before the injury, Will was playing pretty good
was.
football.
So, okay, but why,
He
if
never
he's-
came back right. And maybe he came back a little too soon
Yeah.
where he
If you're
wasn't
not-
all the way
But
right.
if you're not moving him to guard, why are you
I'll
making
tell you,
this pick?
producer Lucas got in my ear. Elliot Wolf, the GM of the Patriots, said they had a first-round grade on Lomu, and they felt like there's a huge drop-off at tackle after Caleb, so they went up and got him.
Okay, that doesn't explain anything.
Yeah,
What's
where-
the
where is he
explanation
playing?
for it?
Where is he
Where are you
playing?
playing? Where's he playing?
Ask that question. Right.
I mean,
I'm laughing because producer Lucas got us. He did 25 on the bench press. He got 25.
Yeah, okay, I like that. What are y'all talking about?
Am I wrong?
here-
There's no
with no strings
explanation.
on the
There's no
football field.
explanation. If
like
you're not playing him,
I
it's
asked-
a bad pick.
Don't cover your ears, Rand. I asked Caleb at the combine, are you also working at right tackle? He said, yes, I am. Rand says everyone says that, but
But see that, and the reason why I say that, Ryan, like all of these dudes, whatever offensive line guru they go and they train with, they all train from both sides.
So
that doesn't take away from what's natural and what's most comfortable to
Right.
you. Right? He's played pretty much.
breaking news. Elliot Wolf said Will Campbell staying at left tackle.
Okay.
So where is Caleb?
He can
Love?
play right.
He look at him. Does he look
You
like
look
a
at
right
him.
tackle? He doesn't look like a right
I don't know
tackle.
what that means.
A right tackle is usually a big square power
What does a left
guy.
tackle look like? Huh? What's a left tackle?
He's got better feet. He moves better.
Hey, what does a left tackle look like?
No, I didn't go that. I went like that.
According to Pete, this is a
So
left
he
tackle.
said he's staying at left tackle? Okay, if he's staying at left tackle, so if he's staying at left tackle, that's a bad pick.
Stop it.
It's a
they
bad
just
pick.
drafted the kid. To give him a break.
And he got him in the back end of the first round. What are you
Okay,
talking
but
about?
what's the rationale behind it?
First
What do you
round
do?
grade, drop off at tackle after that.
Yes.
Okay, but
But here's what I'll say. I think the plan is for him to be the right tackle, right?
Caleb.
And, Caleb.
Yeah.
not
For
not
Ca-
this year.
What?
No, not this
Well,
year.
Morgan Moses has one more year left on his deal.
And the reason why I say that, and Pete, you know this, B-Mac, everyone up here knows this. A lot of the elite edge rushers, they rush from over the right tackle.
Right.
And so you need a guy that's going to be able to kick and play that position.
But the
And
right
so
tackle,
it's-
you're also right-handed running the ball a lot of the time, and you want that guy to be a little bit more.
But Pete, I think we got to get out of this way of thinking of left tackle, right tackle, the right tackle being the mauler, the left tackle being the athlete, because I think right now in today's game, for that very reason, we know Myles Garrett plays both sides. Max Crosby primarily rushes over the right tackle. Nick Bosa primarily rushes over the right tackle. T.J. Watt primarily rushes over the right tackle. You need two elite tackles that can pass.
You better
protect.
believe it.
But again, he's probably 25 pounds underweight to what he
That's
needs
right.
to be.
He just turned 21.
Okay, but here's the
last
other
month.
part of it. Even if he is the right tackle next year, it doesn't do much for this year. This is a team that went to the Super Bowl last year.
They are in much better shape than the Steelers, so they have that luxury. That's what I would say to that.
And like I said, if Will
Pete
Campbell is
snapped his head.
100% healthy, I mean, I think he could. They're going to give Will an opportunity to show that he cannot play right tackle or he can.
Right.
Right. That's why they drafted him. Fourth
Yeah.
a year ago.
You know
And
what
I would tell Will to work on his guard sets a little bit because
You know what
think eventually he's going in there.
Now Will trying to play. at
B-Mac
left
and
tackle.
I will tell Will what I tell my 19-year-old. I can trust you till I can't trust you.
Yeah, that's what this
They
is.
difference is-
halfway through training camp
For my 19-year-old, for Will.
for Will.
Okay.
So do you know what a left tackle and a right tackle look like now, Ryan?
You should.
I'm gonna work. We're gonna take
Been
a
around the
break.
league a long
Look.
time. You should know.
Right tackle,
We're gonna take a break.
left tackle.
What did Villanueva look like?
He was tall.
He was
like
tall.
that.
He looked like a left tackle.
Yeah, he was tall.
So Pete, we're gonna take a break and we're gonna get you a little sketch pad and we're gonna go through every position. And when we come back,
I know what they look like.
Pete's gonna tell us about that, and we're also gonna talk about best available guys on day 2. And there is
Carson back for the
Steelers future
Steelers.
quarterback Carson
Please
back
make
on
it
with the first
happen.
pick, presented by Jeep. There is only one.
Would you root against them?
All right, guys, down the home stretch here, our post first round coverage on with the first pick presented by Jeep. There's only one. And let's turn our attention to surprise players that are available after that first round. I'm looking at my big board here. Jeremiah McCoy is still available, but that's pre-injury. We know his
You
injury
know why?
concerns.
Yeah. That's easy.
Yeah, but I'm just going down my list here, and we'll talk about the quarterback in a second, but here's some other names here. Avion Terrell, who ran in the 4.6s, is a concern. I would say the biggest surprise on this list is D'Angelo Ponce, followed by Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Some other names, Denzel Boston's still out there. Colton Hood is still out there. R. Mason Thomas, your guy. Cassius Howell, the other edge rusher. And one more name I'll mention, Jacob Rodriguez. So, Pete, any direction you want to go, we'll get to Carson Beck in a second unless you're dying to talk about it right now.
I think the pass rushers will go early in the second round. I think both those guys could go off the board in the first 6, 7 picks. I'm a little surprised that.
And San Francisco has the first pick of day 2.
And you know what? San Francisco could
Pass
take
rusher.
one of them. I mean, you got to remember, you got two pass rushers coming off ACLs, right?
And the third retired.
Yeah, so
Right,
they need pass rush help. I think when you look at it, both those guys will come off the board in the next 10 picks.
Yeah, I agree with Pete. I think San Francisco now they could address some offensive line concerns too in terms of the depth. But
Buffalo too at 35 needs an edge rusher.
Yeah. But San Francisco can use an edge rusher in the worst way.
And by the way, here's something to keep in mind as we look here at the picks to start day 2 at 37, the New York Giants. Cade McDonald's still sitting there, and you got to find a way to replace Sexy Dexy.
Yeah, man, that would be. You talk about hitting it out of the park. To be able to go from, obviously losing Sexy Dexy, but you get to me the best interior run defender in this draft class, and you follow it up with the moves with a CeCe Mauanoa and then Arvell Reese. That'll be a nice haul to start it. But I wouldn't discount that position for the 49ers, being able to get a bigger body in the interior, because they were really small, really light in their last year and kind of gave up.
Well, the one kid got hurt. The kid got hurt, and then they
Michael Williams?
They expected the other defensive tackle got hurt. And they expected big things. The other rookie.
CJ?
Yeah, Alfred Collins.
Yeah.
Oh, out of Texas.
And by the way, Lee Hunter is a big body guy
Yeah.
who can hold up against the run.
Yeah, I think we all like Cade McDonald better than Lee Hunter, but Lee Hunter's going to go on day 2.
And then I would also say this too, and again, I'm just because of the 49ers have the first pick of the start of day 2, don't discount Emmanuel McNeil Warren in that defense, because right now you have Malik Mustafa and Jair Brown back there, and they're not known for going to take away the football on the back end. And we talked about in that defense, in that style of defense, if you go and you look at when any of those defenses have been successful, they had that guy in the post, and we called that guy the eraser. A guy that can come up and make the tackle to eliminate an explosive, or a guy that can erase the play by going to make a play on the football, all of which I think E-Man can do.
Stooks is still
I
there.
was going to say your guy Traden Stukes is still there, and I'm trying to think where he might go. Kansas City picks 40. Would you want to double down?
I would double down. Are you kidding me?
Mansoor Delane and Traden Stukes.
Stooks. I mean, come on.
And Peter Woods. Spagnolo, that could be some.
Yeah, they
some-
lost three defensive backs. Watson, McDuffie, and Cook. So
Right.
So, Rand, what are you doing if you're sitting here, any one of these teams? It's going to be San Fran, Arizona, Buffalo, Vegas, the Giants, and Houston to start. What are you doing in terms of post-first round? Are you meeting, reorganizing the board, and then making calls?
Well, it's not even necessarily reorganizing the board, right? Because you've only had 32 come off, and if you're puzzled by the way the board is shaped out right now, then you probably did it the wrong way. But having been at that 38th spot that the Texans were, or that the Texans are, I've been there before. All I'm doing is I'm checking the team needs board that my pro staff has put together to see where 33 through 37, where they're going. And looking at their roster, okay, they've drafted here, so when they've taken out this need, who's going to be there available to me? Is there a spot that I may need to consider moving up to go get my guy? Who below me needs what? Right? Because now, again, so I don't get B-macked, I got to make sure that I know what the guys below me need and see if it aligns
Verb now.
with me. But right now, and I can tell you the year that we were picking at 38, on my way home, I called a couple GMs that were ahead of me. Hey, man, are you staying in the pick? And, yeah, I'm going to stay in the pick. Oh, okay, cool. And, may have a little bit of more of a conversation, but I'm calling to see who's willing to move. Because, again, it lets me know as I'm preparing that if I'm not moving up, now I know that if anybody behind me wants one of those edge guys or DBs, now I know that at pick 36, they're trying to move. And so now I know if I get to a point where I want to get one of these safeties and there's only going to be one available, I know I can at least go up to 36, or someone is trying to jump me to get to 36.
And the other part of the advantage is if you're San Francisco and you have the first pick of the second round, there's going to be a lot of people that look around and say, hey, there's a player on the board that I really want to go get, and I can ensure that I get him by going up and getting San Francisco's pick, and they can actually drop down some spots and actually add some more picks if they want to do so, if they don't love a guy in that spot.
Because I'll tell you, going back to my first draft in 2023, if you guys remember, Miami didn't have a first-round pick that year. They got their pick was forfeited, so the Steelers, in turn, had the 32nd pick, which was at the top of the second round. And so calling around, when we were trying to call around and, potentially move up for Will Levis, it was you call Pittsburgh at 32. And at that time, we were still, I'll say, I'm not going to put it on everybody else. I was still like, how are we going to value this contractually? The 32nd pick, because traditionally the 32nd pick is a first round.
Yeah.
Are they going to try to push me more on the guarantees of this deal because you want to make it commensurate with the other 32nd picks, right? And so is it going to be a fully guaranteed deal as the 32nd pick like it has been without the fifth-year option? So those were all things that you were working through. So it was a call put into Omar at 32 to see what Omar was going to do. It was a call put into Monty Ossenfort at 33 to see what he was going to do. And you start having those conversations tonight, well, you probably already start having those conversations on the back end of the first round, but you continue those conversations overnight to where when you get up in the morning, like, hey, man, let's lock this in to make sure that we're good, when the time comes.
Somebody trade for Will Levis this weekend, please.
Okay, yeah.
Please,
B-Mac,
seriously.
let's talk about the quarterbacks. Would you rather the
Pete was
Steelers
talking about
use
the quarterback.
one of their second round? They have 1 second-round pick and 3 third-round picks on Carson Beck. Or would you rather trade for Will Levis?
Neither.
Well, Carson Beck's going to get drafted.
I would trade for Will Levis. You would give up like a 5 or something to go get Will Levis?
I mean, it depends on the situation, I think, how the board plays out. But as I see it right now, when you talk about having so many third-round picks, I think that's the position to use on a quarterback. Now, if they really love Carson Beck within the building, then so be it. Go with the guy.
Sounds like they do.
So go with the guy who you love, right? Regardless of what the outsiders will say, you got to go with the guy who you value the most. But if you look at having the plethora of third-round picks, like Garrett Nussmeier, who we all found out pretty much played all year not healthy.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at what he did the year before in 2024, 2025 was night and day. We all know why, right? So there's a
lot of stuff going on.
If I were the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would give up a 5 for Will Levis if Aaron Rodgers isn't playing. And if Aaron Rodgers isn't playing, Will Levis will go into that building and he'll be your starter.
Well, the thing about that scenario, we won't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do until
he's not going to beat out Will Howard
after the draft, right?
Will Levis isn't going to beat out Will Howard.
You're going to have Will Levis, Will Howard. You're going to have 3 of the same guys.
And then you go into next year's draft and you get yourself
Again
a
with the
quarterback.
next year, Pete.
Well, what are you going to do? What
don't
is
know
your
what
option? If
tomorrow
Aaron
brings.
Rodgers isn't playing, what are you doing? Would you rather
That's
use a
why they're
second-round
drafting
pick on Carson Beck or trade a 5 for Will Levis?
They have 3 third-round picks. They don't have to take them in the second.
5.
Yeah.
5.
So before we get to the one last thing here, is Garrett Nussmeier getting drafted ahead of Carson Beck?
No.
No.
Is Garrett Nussmeier getting drafted on day 2?
No.
No.
Is Taylor Green getting drafted on day 2?
No.
Now, what happens with the Jets and the Cardinals? Because they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback.
No, the Jets got 3 first-round. Now, that's the time that Pete's theory comes into play. You got 3 first-round picks next year. You keep building this team and trying to save AG's job.
So the only team that we see definitely needs a quarterback, potentially day 2, is the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Right? Unless the Pittsburgh Steelers do something that we don't think.
Or the Rams take another.
because
Sean McVay will get his guy this time.
What about that?
hey, why are you joking? That has happened.
What?
And Washington took RG3 at 2, and
Well,
then
man,
Kirk Cousins
If they
at
want to
4.
run Sean McVay out of town real
And then
fast,
Cleveland.
pick another quarterback.
Speaking of Cleveland, are they going to draft a quarterback on day 2?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think
Yes.
so. I think Simpson was in play for them. Now that he's done, I think they obviously will play with what they have. And next year they'll be going into that draft with a loaded up because they have 3 picks too, right?
So, go ahead.
It feel like the Rams must have known that Ty Simpson was in play for a few teams for them to take him at 13.
Well, I think the report was they may have tried to move down and then they couldn't, and they were going to try to take him
Well,
later.
they mentioned the Vikings, which was weird.
Yeah, that is.
Rand mentioned the Vikings.
Well, it was no. I don't think. I think that was meant
Putting
to.
rain on Front Street, apparently.
No,
No, I'm just
there
looking.
was talk out there about the Vikings.
Okay. I know. So we did the 7-round live mock draft. last week, and we had, in part because Emory drafted every one of his favorite running backs, we had 15 quarterbacks go. I want to ask you guys.
Emory was just snatching quarterbacks off the board.
Over-under, though, I'll put the over-under at 9.5. Do 9.5 quarterbacks get drafted by the end of day 3?
9.5?
No, under.
No.
Okay, all right. I think it's going to be surprisingly close. All right, let's do one more thing before we get out of here. And Pete, I want you to read what you see behind me.
Barrett Media with the First Pick podcast. On this particular program, Wilson and Carthon presented their final list of the linebackers in the 2026 draft. The vocal contrast between the two is fun to watch. Wilson is a bundle of enthusiasm, jumping into the show with a boisterous voice and genuine excitement.
Watch this, B-Mac.
Meanwhile, Carthon is the Barry White of NFL experts with a deep voice and a cool, laid-back vibe.
So, B-Mac, shout out to Barrett Media. John Malari wrote a great review of us. But
what'd you pay them, by the way? What'd you two?
he lost me at the Barry
White.
What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, when he was suited up in New York last week, you would have thought he was ready for his concert, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, why you don't dress up more regularly? You just.
Is that what we doing?
No, I just had too much.
Have you ever heard Barry White talk? He's got that deep.
We've all heard Barry White sing.
Give me a
more than
Barry
talk.
White song.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've all heard Barry White sing, and you went, give me a song. That's
Secret Garden.
That's like what I asked you if.
I gave you a song.
I'll take good care.
Secret Garden. Yeah.
No. You know what that
That's
is?
what a man's supposed to do.
That's Fred
And
Sanford
I'll be
singing
there
Madonna.
for you.
Oh, nah.
You answered
All
that
right,
question
that is
like
it
when I
for
asked
us
if you
here.
wanted the
Our
Steelers
day
to
one
take
coverage is in
Simpson.
the books.
No,
Shout out
that's
to
not the
Jeep.
same thing. Can you leave Ty Simpson alone? He has a home.
Shout out to Rand Carthon, B-Mac, P. Prisco, and Ryan
That's
Wilson. We'll be
Simpson.
back
You
here
got my
tomorrow
name
for
right.
draft
He
coverage on
finally
day
got
2.
Rand's night. Barry
See you
White.
guys then. Shout out Barry White.